Hello and welcome back, day 23. And today we're going to be talking about JavaScript variables. Now, before we actually get into the code, it'll be important to understand what is a variable. Now, a variable you can think of as a box in the memory of the computer where you store some information and you give that box a name. And whenever you need to retrieve whatever is inside there, you just call it by the name on the box. So for example, you might call a variable person's first name, and you'd store the first name inside there, and whenever you need to get that first name out to do whatever, to display it to the screen or to store it in the database, you just call that variable first name and it will give you that person's first name that is stored inside there. So for example, if you have Tom stored in there, then that's what will come out. So today we're going to look at variables. What we're going to do is we're going to take the information that the user types in, all the answers that the user types in, and we're going to put those into, you guessed it, into variables. So we're going to collect all the information from the text boxes and we're going to put those into variables. And then the next step will come in, which we probably won't do today, where we check those variables against the correct answers. So step one, collect all the user answers, store them in variables, and step two, check those variables against the correct answers to see if the user got them right or not. So let's get down to some JavaScript coding. All right, so back in our JavaScript, we go back into the function check answers. And you remember in the previous lesson, we put in this alert. Now I'm gonna make a line just before, just above the alert, because we're gonna use this alert still. We're not quite done with it as yet. Let's leave a couple of lines. And then we're gonna start creating our variable. So we create a variable by typing the keyword var. Var is short for variable. It means we're saying to JavaScript, variable coming up. And we're going to call this variable answer1. That's going to be the name of the variable. So whenever we need to get whatever is inside there, we'll just call it by its name. And now we're going to say to JavaScript that answer1 must contain something, and to do that we use the equals to sign. Now the equals to sign in coding is slightly, well, it's completely different from the equals to sign that we use in maths. In maths we would say 1 plus 1 is equal to 2, so left hand side is equal to right hand side. In coding, the equals to sign is used to assign something. So we're going to assign whatever is on the right into this box. So we're going to put whatever is in there. So if we put, for example, the number 5, we said var answer1 is equal to 5, then what we're actually saying is to JavaScript is take the 5, the value 5, and store it into this variable 1, or assign it into this variable 1. So what are we going to actually store inside answer1? We're going to store whatever the user types into this input box here. Remember question 1, it has an input box with an ID of Q1. Yep, whatever the user types in there, whatever is the value that the user types in there, in other words, if you want to see it visually, there we go, whatever the user types in there is going to be stored inside the variable answer1. So if I type the word Tom in there, then it will store Tom into answer1. So let's go look at our code again. Let's try and keep both on the screen. Now it's hard to keep both on the screen at the same time. So I'll just scroll back and forth. So answer1 is equal to document. In other words, once again, go through this document and get the element with the ID of, don't forget the round brackets, and please don't forget the double quotes. So the ID of that first input is Q1. There's the ID here. So we're saying get element by ID. Answer1 is equal to document.get element by ID Q1 dot value. So putting this in simple English, get whatever value is stored inside Q1 and put it into this variable here, answer1. Simple. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to change this alert box. The answer for Q1 is, and then we put in a plus and we type in answer 1. So basically this alert box will now output this text plus whatever value is stored inside answer 1. So let's save this and refresh the browser. And then we'll put in the answer. Let's say we typed Tom in again. Hit submit. The answer, whoa, what's wrong with my spelling there? The answer for Q1 is Tom. Excellent. So whatever you type inside there will be output there. Now what does this tell us? It tells us that we are successfully taking the value from the text box and storing it into this variable answer1, and then down here we're calling answer1 and we're outputting its value into the output box. Simple stuff. Now we need to create variables for answers 2, 3 and 4 and store them into variables named answer2, answer3 and answer4. Here's a thought. Why don't I leave that to you as an exercise to do? So create 3 more variables, call them answer2, answer3, answer4, and then store the values in the remainder text boxes in there. Let's see how many of you can get it right. And tomorrow I'll show you what the code will look like. Awesome.